No way.
Knowledge has the power to reveal paths previously unseen. At KMTv, we deep dive into the world of knowledge management, exploring how dedicated professionals reshape our understanding and drive meaningful change. In our Valentine Day edition, I'm honored to have an African expert and my friend, Gladys Kemboi. Gladys, you are a seasoned Indigenous knowledge advisor and a community-led development champion with a passion for decolonization of knowledge. We are excited to uncover your journey that also led you winning the Digital Preservation Awards last year. So let's start with understanding how you became interested in KM.
Thank you so much, Hibet, for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Gladys Kemboi from Kenya, and currently I'm in the US. I love knowledge management. My journey began way back 10 years ago. First, I started as a librarian, and I didn't found a passion and love that I needed, and I wanted to transition into the career. And so when I went back to study degree, I wanted to major into knowledge management, and I didn't know what was it all about knowledge management. So the first thing was, I think I had clarity in terms of I wanted to pursue a course where I want to see change in communities, and I was missing that aspect in the library space. So way back, I went to school to study information science, but majoring in knowledge management, and that's why I began at Technical University of Kenya. And the first class I remember, it was so tough because introduction to knowledge management, and I had no any experience or even learning about knowledge management. So I looked for a mentor who can share with me what is all about knowledge management. And I met with Professor Joseph Kiplagat. He's been such a great mentor when I began the first journey in knowledge management, wherever you are. Know that I really appreciate you for all the support. So we had 5 students who were interested, knowing what they wanted to do. And I remember we were being told that they needed a quorum to have people specializing in knowledge management. So Gladys, here I am. I said, okay, I am not opting to major into records management or library, but my love is in knowledge management. I have to fall in love with this knowledge management. So I used to create time over the weekend going to school, reading ahead and teaching other students what was all about knowledge management in a way that they could understand, and winning more souls, kind of like, hey, come, we major in knowledge management. By the time I was graduating, we were 20 students who were majoring in knowledge management. So that was really a huge, great achievement at that time because, influencing someone to pursue a course that he or she did not know what is it all about, and even difficulty to understanding. And having now, by the time you were graduating, having many more graduating, that was a huge celebration for me. And immediately I wanted to continue pursuing at master's level. And that's how I ended joining Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, where I pursued master's in knowledge management, but majoring, my research was focusing more on developing knowledge management strategies for humanitarian organizations in Kenya and other development sectors. And in 2020, that is when I graduated, and the university gave me an award for being one of the most influential knowledge management ambassador, and came for them, celebrated me. And I was featured in the Real Care magazine. The news reached my village, and it became whole celebration in my community. So that's my journey behind, but I'm looking forward also to give success story behind that KM journey and success, which I always acknowledge my mentor Sarah Cummings, who has been behind my support system.
Yeah, I know that you always are appreciative of other people. This show is about you, and I want you to share everything that you experienced with indigenous knowledge, with KM4Dev, in the communities. What does it mean, Digital Preservation Award, etc. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. So just let's start with what is the closest to your heart.
I love this. The way you're saying it's all about me, but I think it's all about we, because in my journey of success, there have been people behind me, my mentors, my community, my family. So this success, as I share this story, it's all about we. Yeah, because I will not be where I am without the global community and my community also in Kenya, who've been very supportive. So to share about my journey with local and indigenous knowledge and also decolonization of knowledge, it began in 2020 when we first had the KM4Dev decolonization of knowledge agenda. And I love the action plan that was being shared to all of us. What can you do as an individual to see how you're going to be part of or contributing to sustainable development goals? And I chose my community. So for a very long time, I was like, Gladys, there's so much that has been happening in my own community. I grew up where I learned a lot about traditional medicine, traditional food, and it is true this that I learned from my grandmother, especially medicine for the infants, where we used to wake up very early. She could take me to the forest and looking for those traditional medicine. So when the conversation about what can you do as an individual to decolonize knowledge, and I was looking that there's so much changes happening in my own community. Like this knowledge of traditional medicine is fading away. Like I went back to look for those trees, but it's no longer there. Other things that also, which had already affected us, was climate change. But we have the knowledge, we have the information on how do we preserve, how do we safeguard this information and knowledge for the current and future generations to come. So I went back home taking the challenge on the agenda of decolonization of knowledge. And I appreciate so much KM4Dev for the opportunity to learn about this. And I started looking, okay, what has changed when we talk about climate change in our own context? And if any of you want to share with the community to tell them what has changed, there is no any tangible evidence to showcase, apart from looking knowledge retention strategies such as the community archives that have already preserved such information. And then that way you share with the community, like 30 years ago, this is what happened, because I have almost 30 years plus years, and I'm reflecting back to those childhood experience and memories. So I started that journey, and now starting influencing other information professionals, which includes knowledge managers, librarians, and those who have done archives and records management in Kenya and other African countries, that let's go back to our own villages. Let's go back to our own local communities. Let's not wait only for the United Nations to come and help us to safeguard what we have. We can challenge ourselves to do this and be part of the agenda, be part of the people who mobilizes knowledge to contribute to various SDGs. So in 2022, I applied for High Press submitting my paper. And I looked at it from the context, like how, looking at it from the development perspective, like in case records are being missed, information and knowledge is not being retained. How many lives, how many children, how many women that are going to miss opportunities, how many kids are going to miss to go to school because when you're submitting grants for proposal writing, like they wanted to see reports, they wanted to see what has been the impact from the years, and there is nothing tangible evidence to showcase. So I share that part of the concept that I'm coming to this conference to share about it. So the conference was happening in the UK in Glasgow, and I didn't make it to go because my visa delayed. But that did not really stop to me. I continued mobilizing people and encouraging them to champion the agenda on decolonizing knowledge and also how we can preserve community archives. And again, in 2023, the Digital Preservation Coalition gave me the opportunity to present my paper at University of Illinois. And that's how I came to University of Illinois to share about epistemic justice and also community archives in addressing climate change and empowering rural communities, which still aligns with the agenda of what we've been doing, KM4Dev. And as a result of this, there was quite a lot of achievements in terms of how I had influenced more than 500 professionals to go back to their own communities and take the challenge. And in 2024, it was a huge surprise when I submitted another paper, which we worked now closely with our elders. This time I said, I want to go other papers, or we want to do this project initiative with our own elders. So I traveled to various villages in Kenya, meeting and having conversation with various indigenous knowledge holders. Why I focus with specific indigenous knowledge holders? Because when you talk about marginalized communities, or even when we look at the data that we have, it's rarely to find all communities represented, and some are being excluded, maybe. But this is an area, this is a gap that we need to see. How do we address this to ensure that we have the right indigenous knowledge holders being rewarded, being acknowledged for what they have contributed to supporting SDGs? And for the first time, I started in this initiative working on this joint project, and even which I might ask the Kipakenge for reimagining knowledge partnerships and how digital preservation of local and indigenous knowledge could safeguard knowledge for the current and future generations. So, and as a result, I was nominated. Our paper that I was leading under the Kipakenge emerged second globally for the Collaboration and Cooperation Award. But this, as a result of the joint efforts and support from both local and global community partners, including my advisors and my mentors from University of Illinois, the DPC, and also KM4Dev. So that's the journey, how it began. And winning that award, it brought so much joy and celebration all over. Like, I had so much people all over the club celebrating me, and even including my own community, our leaders. So I'm happy to see how you can start small. You don't know where, or you don't know who is seeing what you're doing, but there is someone somewhere who's seeing what you do and rewards what you're working on. So I'm so grateful for the DPC and KM4Dev, and also University of Illinois and my community, the KO community, and everyone who has been part of this journey. Not forgetting champions from Nigeria, that is Folashade and Babakana, who are also there in Belgium to celebrate us, and they had the opportunity to present on how they've been contributing on local and indigenous knowledge using the Digital Preservation Coalition model.
Wow, you can be really proud of yourself. And I know that you are struggling to talk about your own achievements, but I have been watching your journey, and it's absolutely inspiring. And I would like you to explain more about how you define decolonization of knowledge, why indigenous knowledge is important, what are the tangible results that emerged from this work?
Wow, that's a very interesting and a toughest question on how to define what decolonization of knowledge means. It's been one of the interesting conversations, seeing how do we address powers and challenges that affect specific communities. Because when we say knowledge is power when we are using this knowledge to transform communities and create positive change. But when we use the knowledge as a power to harm people, then that's part of what colonization means. And for us, we need to decolonize this knowledge in a way that how the marginalized communities or underrepresented people have access to information and knowledge, and applying this information and knowledge to create sustainable economy or even transform their own livelihoods. That has been the aspect that I push, or I want to see change, and seeing those who are vulnerable having real impact, having sustainable livelihood through information and knowledge. And in addition to that, also, I see a lot of potential on how our local and indigenous knowledge could create sustainable economies if only being given the opportunity or providing support and giving these people the tools, the right tools, the training and capacity building. Because you realize people have information and knowledge, but they don't know, they are not aware that they are valuable. At times, some they have it, but they're being maybe taken advantage. So I always encourage people, when you have any chance, let's use our voices, let's use our platforms, let's use our communities in a way that uplifts those who are vulnerable and give credit based on what they have shared with us, based on their information and knowledge, and to contribute towards sustainable development goals, and even creating sustainable economies in their own context. Allow me to give an example. For the first time during the UN Summit of the Future Agenda that we were advocating, it gave me the chance, because I remember I submitted a proposal, and out of more than 200 applicants, I'm grateful that my proposal was selected. And as a result of that, it gave me the chance to make sure that as we were pushing for this agenda, to have representation of various communities, especially those who are representing their own ethnic community, the tribal communities, depending on the context where each one of us is coming from. We have a high representation from Africa, which contributed and representing their own local communities and speaking about how their culture, how their knowledge could be part of this UN Summit of the Future. So that's been really a great improvement and support, including also appreciating like the Real Care magazine, the K for DP, and also KM for Dev, which we teamed up together in collaborating on how we can write the new knowledge agenda, and everyone was being given a chance to write and represent your own community. So if you read the new knowledge agenda, you will see that there's quite a lot of representation and advocacy on local and indigenous knowledge in development. And I think Kenya also, we have a higher representation of that. But that's the journey that we have already begun. And I'm very excited and looking forward for more impact, even having recognition like Digital Preservation Coalition recognizing us. I think I am the first African to receive that award, which I'm very excited seeing how our global community are really appreciating the great work that we are doing.
And what is the tangible result of getting this knowledge? Like you have the knowledge in archives. As far as I know, Kenya has lots of local languages, so I guess the knowledge is also in the local language, which you would translate into English. Or so how does this whole process work? You went back to the village, talked to the elders, looked at the archives. Just paint me the picture here.
Wow. So coming back to the conversation of why I chose knowledge management, because I wanted to see how the knowledge and information that we have, how is it impacting people's lives? Because at times we might preserve knowledge, we have it in the archives, but how is it affecting someone's life? How is it providing solutions to the challenges, or maybe the current challenges that we are facing as far as SDGs is concerned? So the first initiative, or showcasing what do we have if we want to address issues on climate change, we go back to see in those archives, looking at the past, like let's go back to the past, where are we? And it goes back to mapping the local and indigenous trees on traditional medicine, which is no longer there. But if we are looking at our local archives, like we still have those trees that were being preserved in the archives, and sharing with the current generation. And at least the good enough is that we still have elders, which like now few of them are remaining. Some are already aging and some have already passed away. And this includes my grandmother, which I learned so much from her. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to document all what she had. I say we just parrot all that information and knowledge, but all is not gone. We've already started a journey on mapping where is this information existing, where is the knowledge, even those indigenous trees, traditional medicine trees, where are they? And how do we safeguard the remaining ones? So going back to archives, working closely with various communities that have already saved this in their own archives, where they have documented about the indigenous trees. They have the pictures or the photographs of what it looks like, so that when you show even these young people that we are working together, and how restore trees in terms of like planting trees. So that is where like pushing the agenda, make sure that as we think about this, let's plant those local and indigenous trees that are already becoming extinct due to environmental conservation issues and also climate change. So I've already seen the impact where I'm part of my community, where we've started initiating the conversation of safeguarding forests and also planting indigenous trees, which it's already the impact is felt, and we have support from our leaders, which includes the political leaders and also the community leaders who are taking the lead on this. In addition, we have, I have had conversations and also building relationships with mentors and elders. Mentors includes professional community, like different scholars from our own community, and working closely to do joint research initiatives on this, which we already have the support. So I see that's another great also achievements, and I'm seeing many more young people right now taking the lead on this and going back to their own villages and initiating their agenda, especially the librarians, those who have done archives and records management, and also knowledge managers.
And you record the knowledge, you write it down in the original language, or how does this preservation work?
Great question. So first it starts with having conversation. We record it in our own local language because most of these elders, the only language that they speak is the mother tongue. I come from KO community, which the elders that I speak with, some would speak KO language and others maybe Kipsigis, other Maasai community, but I come from the KO community, so I speak KO language. And my grandmother was a Marakwet, which is another community. She speaks Marakwet, but both languages. So we speak in our own local language, and then we translate it. Because like now for me being a professional, that I understand both languages, the local language and the English one. So, I listen, we capture this in our own local context and then translate it. And one of the challenges now that we have is having the technologies or platforms where we can safeguard this information and knowledge. But I'm happy to see platforms like KM4Dev, which is already, it's not a platform, it's a community of KM4Dev, which is always open to give us a platform on how we can preserve such information and knowledge. And it's also other potential universities, home universities, which are willing to open doors on how we can preserve this information, the recorded information and knowledge, because it needs further on how we can work collaboratively with academic, because capturing and documenting this knowledge goes beyond. You need to see how you classify this, how you process this information, creating various metadata standards, and also to ensure quick access to this information, and also having professional community on how they can provide support to preserve this information and knowledge due to technological challenges. And this is why we have also communities such as the Digital Preservation Coalition, which they are very friends of our own community, which I'm very proud of seeing such collaborations coming on board, so that we work together, we do what we can to safeguard this information and preserve it for the future generations.
And just this is a side question, but now I'm really curious. What is your favorite tree?
Oh, interesting one. I don't know how to call it in my own local context, but I can describe what it means. I don't know what's the name. There are some trees that we used to go and I took the photos in 2020. That was the only remaining tree in my own community, because I remember asking my mom about that tree, and I remember there was some years back when I was sick, and those are the kind of the medicine, the tree that mom used to cut it and boil for us as part of the medicine. So that's one of the favorite tree. In fact, I've gone back even speaking to my siblings and also other elders within the community, that's kind of let's safeguard this tree. No one should cut it because it's so important. So that's the favorite trees for me, are those trees that are used for medicines.
The healing trees.
Yeah, the healing trees. Yes, you got it right. Because with that, yeah.
Now I just wonder that maybe previous communities and our ancestors actually knew the healing powers of every plant around us, but we don't know these things anymore. I mean, myself, if I went to a forest, I wouldn't know what to eat or what not to eat, what to avoid. So yeah, I think this is a very interesting. It's very close to my heart as well, and I think that we coincidentally tapped onto an interesting question about is how easy it is to translate knowledge from the local language into English.
It is not that easy because when you translate, it loses the meaning of its originality. So, and that way we also need people who are expertise, the historians, or someone who have studied our own local context. And I want to acknowledge one of my mentor, in whom also his research is contributing towards my current PhD. That is the work of Dr. Isaac Tarus. I always consult Dr. Isaac Tarus to make sure that I have the right information, I have the right knowledge, and how to write it in our own local context. And he's the person that I reach out and asking the meanings of our own local knowledge, because I might translate in English, but it loses the meaning when it comes to our own language, like the KO language or other languages that are being spoken by the Kalenjin tribal communities.
So it's important to preserve the knowledge both in the local language and translate it and use it further.
Yes, because if you have it in other language, even like for the elders to have access to that information or even to share, it will be a bit difficult. But translating it in our own local language, like having it in our own local language, like the knowledge goes deeper and it's very well understood. That is why, as part of our Camp for Dev new knowledge agenda and the decolonization of knowledge agenda also, we emphasize a lot being proud and loud of your own local language and translate and share the inputs of knowledge products with the communities in a language that they understand.
I remember when I lived in Wales, this was also a very important topic, that if Welsh disappears and English takes fully over, then the Welsh people actually are losing their identity. So because the Welsh language is such a rich language, it's also a very, very difficult language. But I remember how much effort has been made to preserve the language, and even with European Union funds and everything. And yes, it is one of the most important things of a nation or a tribe to keep that alive. So to preserve the language and then to preserve the knowledge that is transmitted through the language. Also, it's a beautiful task. What's your favorite word that is very difficult to translate?
I can start with the favorite one that is easy to translate.
Okay.
Which is aligns very well. The Kipakenge. Kipakenge means togetherness. And I love it because that's one of the projects that we were working on, that we emerged the second globally on Kipakenge. Coming together, it means coming together in my own community. And I love a lot togetherness, which it centers around communities of practice, people who have areas of common interest. So Kipakenge is the word that I can easily translate and write it well.
Yes, I could do that as well. And what is that you really want to share? You want to get out through this discussion to our audience? What is close to your heart that you really would like to speak about?
Having mentors that they can channel with you in this profession, like as I said earlier, for me to succeed and for me to be where I am right now in my career journey, I really appreciate the mentorship support and the support system of various communities of practice. Maybe allow me to first acknowledge Sarah Cummings. Sarah and I, we met way back in Nairobi 2019. And how did I know about Sarah? I was reading a lot about what she was sharing on KM4Dev, and through KM4Dev, I knew KM4Dev through Tony, who is from Kenya, one of the knowledge manager that I always look up to whenever I want to learn more about KM in the development sector. So I was told about KM4Dev way back in 2017. So that's the first time when I was doing my master's. And I wanted a platform or community where I can learn practical knowledge management, because we learn a lot about theoretical context, but I wanted to be in that communities of practice who meeting with other diverse KMers in the development sector. And Tony introduced me to KM4Dev. And I learned a lot from Tony because he had worked with the World Bank as a knowledge management consultant. And that did not stop me there. I wanted also, like my other students or fellow students, to learn more about it. And I organized the first knowledge cafe, bringing together these students who are master students to learn more about KM4Dev and joining KM4Dev. So reading what Sarah had been posting through the KM4Dev, and the first time we met in Nairobi 2019 during the first Africa Knowledge Partnership, where I was part of the team coordinating and inviting various knowledge managers to join, I was interested, like learning more about KM4Dev into deeper and seeing what do they have, what I can learn and how I can contribute. And first asking Sarah if there are any opportunities to contribute, just to volunteer to learn more about knowledge management. And Sarah invited me to join KM4Dev. And I was the first young person to join the editorial board. That really meant a lot to me because I was like, Gladys, this is a very huge recognition, and also to join such kind of editorial board where you have people who are on another higher level of profession. Yeah, it was a very humbling moment for me. So joining KM4Dev 2017, and also being part of the KM4Dev, having access to mentors. I appreciate Sarah Cummings. I always call her, she's our mother of knowledge. Very supportive, great mentors. I've learned a lot from them. Not forgetting Stacey Young, who is the Chief Knowledge Manager of the USID. She's been very supportive and supporting us on how we can scale up local and indigenous knowledge in development. We worked closely with Stacey during the KM4Dev Knowledge Cafe in mapping out local and indigenous knowledge in development, which has really contributed to be part of my career success and seeing that tangible impact within my community. Other mentors that I would love to acknowledge, including also Kenyatta. Kenyatta is from Italy. I always tell people, if you're having a hard time with knowledge management, you just want someone to speak to who can listen to you. You have a great mentor who is always there for you. So not forgetting other people like Ivan from UNICEF and also Rosho. They've been very great supportive friends. I've learned a lot from them about knowledge management within the UN, and anytime we invite them to speak to our young professionals or young people who are interested in KMTv, just always being there. And also Nines, have been very supportive, supporting us, among other mentors that have been very of great support to make sure that they go their way to create a time and to support people who they need help in this journey for profession in knowledge management. I would also like to encourage people that you have to find a community that loves you for you are. A community that whenever they see you, they get so much excited. A community that you have ideas that you want to see how you can test and navigate to provide solutions in your own organization, in your own community, in your own country. I can testify that you cannot find such community like KM4Dev. I always love KM4Dev, and I'm so KM4Dev. They've been just always there for me and other professionals across the globe. Anytime we want to learn, we want to come up with new innovations as far as knowledge management is concerned, they've given us space, they've given us the support that we need. So join various communities where you can get support. Connect with mentors who are there to support you, and they don't see mistakes in you, but they see opportunities in you.
Oh my God, this should be also a message to all managers, because I hear about so many performance evaluations where people are focusing on what you cannot do instead of what you can do and what you can use for the greater good. And when I don't know Sarah, but I love the post about epistemic justice from her. Can you talk to me about epistemic justice a little bit?
This is interesting about epistemic justice. I learned it through epistemic justice at KM4Dev when we were seeing how do we address various injustices when it comes to knowledge, multiple knowledges. You can imagine how you can share your own knowledge and it is being ignored, or what your community has contributed but it is being excluded. Those are the kind of the epistemic injustices that we've been experiencing. At times you find someone excluding you, or a leader excluding someone because of your color, your accent, where you're coming from, maybe your geographical representation, gender issues. There's so much, a lot of things of this happening in various communities, and people are crying in silence. And as a result of this, how do we create that epistemic justice and advocating to address those concerns? And this is where the conversation of epistemic justice comes in. I have been in a space where you're being excluded, even when you've contributed and people take credit of what you've contributed. You have to fight. But it is a tough conversation. It is a tough journey. Even when you see policies are being implemented, that it is going to harm more of your community, but people are just mute. So those are the kind of the injustices that we need to address.
I can confirm this is how I feel about as well when I'm working on knowledge retention, and people say to me, I'm very happy to share my knowledge with you, but I don't want to be judged because of my sexuality, my gender, my age. I would love having a podcast with you, but I would like to have an avatar. And sometimes we work on avatars so that these people can speak freely without feeling boxed in by previous experience. Because sometimes many people don't even judge them, but they have been judged so many times that they don't have the courage anymore to share their expertise, or they don't feel that their knowledge is worth it and it should be made accessible and visible for everyone. So I think knowledge management really has the power to make people visible for their expertise and intelligence and appreciate their life journey. And epistemic justice is a very, very important part in knowledge management. So thank you for bringing this up as well.
Thank you so much, Hivet. And this is what we want to encourage everyone. Just spread love. We have in this journey that we are in, and don't exclude someone because of differences that maybe you might think. And this is as a result of, even when I wrote in the new knowledge agenda, my personal statement, because of various experiences that I have also encountered in terms of that do not kill the knowledge or do not harm even my community or my generation to come because of the difference of the color skin that you see in me. I don't see the color, like there's nothing different in us.
No.
Because of gender that you see or what you've been programmed in your own mind, because of where I come from, maybe like if you hear this comes from this village, some would say you come from maybe like it's a poor village or whatever. That's how we program things. Others would look at because of the social class or status. So we are all equal. When I say knowledge makes us to be all equal, everyone has something to bring to the table. And no one has any right to exclude anyone, irrespective of where you're coming from. So let's just spread love. I love what Linda Smith, that was learning about decolonization of knowledge, that if we have to decolonize knowledge, it has to come from a place of love. It has to come from a passion. And this is the same thing. If you're a knowledge manager and there's no love, there's no compassion, there's no passion in you, then you don't have any love for human being. Because everyone has something to bring to the table. Everyone has unique knowledge and expertise to contribute, to be part of the success of every nation, every community, every continent. So we all need each other. Yeah.
I agree. And I think these are the best closing words for our discussion. Thank you so much for spending Valentine's Day with me. It was such a pleasure to talk to you again, my sister from another mother. And yes, have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, and the KMTv for giving us the voice and always uplifting those and seeing voices in knowledge management in Africa and across the continent.